Good morning, students. In this session, we are going to discuss about gynoecium. Gynoecium is the female reproductive part of a flower and is made up of one or more carpels. A carpel consists of three parts. They are as follows. First one, stigma, second one, style, and second one, ovary. Okay, ovary is the enlarged basal part on which lies the elongated tubular structure. It is called as style. The style connects to the ovary of the stigma, and the stigma is usually at the tip of the style, and the receptive part in the carpel for the process of receiving pollen grains is stigma only. Stigma is a receptive part which is present at the top. It receives the pollen grains through the agents like water, wind, and other agents like birds, insects, etc. They come and drops the pollen grains on the stigma, and pollination takes place. And these pollen grains are carried by the style. Through the style, it goes into the ovary. Then, after pollination process, fertilization is taking place and leading to the formation of fruit and seeds. So, what is meant by pollination here? Let us have a short discussion regarding pollination definition. Transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma is called as pollination. So these pollen grains are coming from somewhere through the agents onto the stigma and carrying by the tubular structure called style into the ovary. Understood? Now, each ovary bears one or more ovules attached to a flattened cushion-like structure called placenta. Generally, in some flowers, only one ovule is present, like sunflower and marigold, etc. But in some flowers there are more ovules are present, like hibiscus. But all these ovules are attached to one cushion-like structure which is present at the center of the ovary, that is called as placenta. It is a flat ribbon-like structure and cushion-like structure where all the ovules are attached to it. So this is very important for competitive part about placenta. Please make a note of this point. But when more than one carpel is present, then what may happen? They may be free, and even they may be presented as a one single unit. If they are free, when they are more in number, like in lotus flower and rose flower, then the phenomenon is called as apocarpus. Okay, what is the definition of apocarpus? Let us discuss. I will explain the definition for apocarpus. Please listen. The phenomenon of having more number of ovules in free condition is called as apocarpus. Example, lotus and rose. But when the carpels are fused together, the phenomenon is called as syncarpus. Example, mustard and tomato. In mustard and tomato flowers, the carpels are fused together. This phenomenon is called as syncarpus, opposite to apocarpus. Right? Now, let me explain the definition for syncarpus once again. The phenomenon where the ovules are fused or the carpels are fused together, as we see in mustard and tomato, is called as syncarpus. This is 2 mark definition. I will say 1 mark definition now. The phenomenon of fusing carpels together is called as syncarpus. Example, mustard and tomato. Okay, now after fertilization, what could be the changes may happen in angiosperms? After fertilization, known as post-fertilization events or developments which takes place in angiosperms. This is very interesting concept. Even in second PC also the same concept is there. In second chapter, sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Post-fertilization events are very unique in angiosperms. What are those events can be noticed by them? The ovules are converting or modifying into seeds in the fruit. Then the ovary matures into fruit. These two events are most important events in angiosperms. Please make a note. Post-fertilization events in angiosperms. What are those? The first one is developing of ovules into seeds, then maturation of ovary into fruit. Understood? Now, coming to the most important concept of this today's session is placentation. Hope you're all seeing the diagram on the screen. Different types of placentations are present. First of all, I will tell you definition for placentation. It is one mark question for theory examinations. Define placentation. The arrangement of ovules within the ovary is known as placentation. Understood? Students, I will repeat once again this definition. Please make a note in the notebook. The arrangement of ovules within the ovary is known as placentation. Then the placentation vary from one flower to another flower. Students, are we seeing only limited flowers in the nature? No, no. We are seeing variety of flowers in the nature, right? Like jasmine, rose, sunflower, marigold, hibiscus, lilies, whatnot. Different varieties of flowers, different fragrances, different sizes. Isn't it so or not? But all the flowers are not having same kind of arrangement of ovules within the ovary. They are vary from one to another. Why this kind of differentiation can be seen? Can you guess the answer? Because their habit is different. Their mode of living is different. Some lives in water, some lives in deserts, some lives in terrestrial region. Some are indoors, some are outdoors, some are long, some are large trees, some are very microscopic. In plant kingdom chapter you had a discussion. The smallest angiosperm is Ulfia and the largest angiosperm plant is Eucalyptus, right? So variety of plants can be seen. In all those the placentation is not same. Different variety of placentations can be seen. What are those? Let us see one by one. First one, marginal placentation. Second diagram, axial placentation. Third one, parietal placentation. Fourth one, free central placentation. Fifth one, basal placentation. Respectively from first to fifth. On the screen you are seeing the diagrams, right? So now let us see one by one in detail. I will explain first one, marginal placentation. See the first diagram. In this placentation, placenta forms a ridge along the ventral structure of the ovary, and the ovules are born on this ridge only, forming two rows. So this could be the unique characteristic in some plants. What are those plants? Please make a note the examples. All Fabaceae family members. All name Leguminaceae. What are the examples? What could be the plants included in this family? Like pea, garden pea, sweet beans, broad beans, etc. In all this we could able to see marginal placentation. Students, we are drawing a margin on the white sheet while you are writing exams, right? Where is the location of margin? At the edge. Got it? So here also at the edge only the ovules are attached to the placenta in the ovary. Pea pod, maybe you have seen pea pod. While we are opening pea pod, have you seen where the ovules are presented and how they are presented? Now this time you watch very carefully when we are opening the pea pod. Definitely you will feel amazing. All the ovules are attached to one single ridge which is present at the edge of the ovary, forming two rows. Understood? So this kind of presentation can be seen in the pea plants and bean plants known as marginal placentation. The name is itself indicating marginal placentation. We are drawing margin on the white sheet while we are writing exams, right? So margin locates at the edge of the paper, right? So here also the ovules are presented at the edge of the fruit to the ridge which is presented ventrally. Hope you understood. Now moving to second type of placentation, axial placentation. So students, here in this type of placentation you will feel very interesting point. I suggest you one small experiment for you, like first marginal placentation. Today after listening this class, you just take one tomato or lemon, cut into two equal halves. You will absorb some seeds in the center portion of the fruit, right? Isn't it so or not? Might be you had an experience of this. Especially girls are having experience while cutting the tomatoes in the kitchen and lemons in the kitchen. And how you absorb the arrangement of ovules in the center? They are at the center to the placenta. Attached to the placenta, which is presented at the center portion of the fruit, called as axial placentation. And the ovules are multilocular. Multilocular. What is the word multi? Multi means many. Locular. Locule is a chamber of the ovary. See in the second diagram, how many chambers are there? 1, 2, 3 chambers are there. In each chamber, how many ovules are there? 2 are there. Hope you are seeing the diagram on the screen. So there are 3 chambers. Those 3 chambers are called as locules. More than one in number, right? So that's why they are called as multilocular ovary. The placentation is said to be axial placentation. Then examples. What are the examples? In China rose, tomato and lemon. So these 3 are the examples for axial placentation. China rose, it is also commonly called in India as hibiscus. So you will be having this experiment in second PUC final practical examinations, and also you will perform in the first PUC final practical examinations also about this placentation event. Then you will get to know in detail. Understood? Next, third type of placentation, parietal placentation. What is this parietal placentation? What is the unique characteristic of this parietal placentation? Please watch the diagram on the screen, students. In this placentation, the ovules develop on the inner wall of the ovary or on peripheral part of the ovary. There are 2 layers are present: outer ovarian wall and inner ovarian wall. Understood? You can see outer ovarian wall and inner ovarian wall even axial placentation also. You can see even in free central placentation also. See the diagram very carefully. So ovules are present at periphery side. Periphery side means border side. Understood? And the 2 from inner wall, the dark green colored structure which you are seeing on the diagram. Light green outer side layer is called as outer ovarian wall. But from inner ovarian wall, ovules are forming and they are having one specific characteristic. Generally, in this parietal placentation ovary, you could able to see only one chamber, right? Not like 3 chambers or 5 chambers which we have seen in axial placentation. But coming to parietal placentation, due to formation of false septum, the chamber is appearing like a 2-chambered ovary. What is meant by false septum? False septum means a partition is forming partially in the ovary, but we can't see very clearly it. That's why it is called as false septum. So due to formation of false septum centrally in the middle of the ovary is divided into two chambers, but actually it is a one chambered ovary. This phenomenon can be seen very clearly in parietal placentation. And examples for this placentation is mustard and argemony. I repeat once again, examples mustard and argemony. So in these plants we could able to see parietal placentation. Next, coming to fourth one, free central placentation. This is very interesting and important placentation. Let us see the diagram on the screen. Free central placentation. When the ovules are born on the central axis and septa are absent. So here students, septa, it means nothing but plural. Septum singular. So septa are absent in the ovary. So we can't see partitions or chambers in the ovary. Make sure this point must be clear. In competitive examinations, they may ask this type of question also. Septa are absent in this following type of placentation. Tell me, Ma, what is that placentation? Free central placentation. Then where the ovules are present? Ovules are present on the central portion or central axis of the ovary. They born inside the ovary, within the ovary, at the central portion. It is also called a central axis. Then there are, in the name itself indicating free central, they are freely present in the central portion of the ovary, which are born at the central axis, called as free central placentation. Example, dianthus and primrose. I repeat the examples once again. Dianthus and primrose. Please make a note. So the last one, coming to last placentation, it is nothing but basal placentation. In the basal placentation, you could able to see development of placenta at the base side of the ovary. And there is a single ovule attached to the placenta which is present at the basal side, and this phenomenon is called as basal placentation. It can be seen in flowers like sunflower and marigold. For competitive examinations, this is very important concept. In many previous NEET examinations, they asked about this concept because this is unique characteristic consisting only single ovule, right? Then location of single ovule is at the basal side, and it is attached to the placenta which is present at the bottom of the ovary. Can we see septa in this? Obviously no. We can't able to see the septa in this basal placentation also. Understood? We can't see septa in basal placentation, free central placentation. False septum can be seen in a parietal placentation. Then true septum can be seen in a axial placentation. Then ventral ridge can be seen at marginal placentation. So one placentation is having one unique characteristic. So I would like to hear highlights of the placentation one by one. One placentation of the placentation, a unique characteristic. Marginal placentation. Ovules are attached to the placenta at the margin, which is ventrally present in the ovary. Right? Next, axial placentation. So here septum or chambers are present. Chambers are called locules. Understood? They are presented at the central portion of the ovary. True septum is present in the axial placentation. Next, parietal placentation. Ovules are born on the inner side ovarian wall of the ovary. Understood? Ovary is actually one chamber, but due to formation of false septum, appearing as a two-chambered ovary. Right? Now, pre-central placentation. Septa are completely absent. Ovules are present at the central axis. Understood? Next, basal placentation. Single ovule is present at the basal side of the ovary attached to the placenta. So these are the unique characteristics of each placentation. Now examples for each placentation I would like to highlight. Please listen. Marginal placentation, Fabaceae family or Leguminaceae family members. Example pea or beans. Next, axial placentation. Axial placentation, China rose, tomato, lemon. Next, parietal placentation, third one. Parietal placentation, example mustard and antimony. Next, fourth one, free central placentation, example dianthus and primrose. Next, last fifth one, basal placentation. Basal placentation, example marigold and sunflower. So hope you understood this placentation concept. I have explained in detail. This concept is very important for theory examination. 5-mark question. When they asked in board examination for 5 marks, you need to explain all the 5 types in detail with diagrams and examples. Make sure you should explain with diagrams, neat label diagrams and examples also. Then only you will get 5 out of 5 for this question. Thank you, students. Now I will move to next concept. Students, I am explaining another important concept from morphology of flowering plants. That is semi-technical description of a typical flowering plant. You know, scientists from different corners of world started using different morphological features, different symbols, different codes for describing a flowering plant. When we are explaining a morphology of a flowering plant, then it should not be right in theoretical part in a long lengthy manner. It can be described in a simplified short form. So this kind of phenomenon started used by scientists since many years. So that part we are going to discuss now, right? While we are describing a flowering plant, the description should be how, the explanation should be how in a simplified manner. So that's why started using by scientists a brief language, simplified language, and even scientific language also they started including in this description, and proper sequence. Proper sequence in the sense, for example, in previous class we had a discussion. Take a small activity, take some seeds like green gram seeds or etc. Put those seeds in the soil, in a right soil. Then after a few days it germinates, right? And after germination you are seeing the first part radical which grows as a root system. Next, plumule which grows as a shoot system. Then in the shoot system, young shoot consisting leaves and develops day by day and produces branches. Then after certain days of the lifespan of the tree produces flowers. Flower consisting different floral parts. Next, a flower produces after fertilization fruit and consisting seeds. Again those seeds will be useful for production of new individuals, right? This is a sequence. In such a way, based on this small activity, let us see how they are describing a flowering plant from beginning. Okay, they are explaining a flowering plant with the beginning of habit. Next, vegetative characters. They are taking vegetative characters like roots, which we had a discussion just now, because root is the first produced part in the plant. Next, followed by stem. Next, leaves, and then floral characters. Floral characters like inflorescence, either racemose inflorescence or cymose inflorescence. Next, flower parts. What are the different flower parts? Like calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. And after that they are explaining various parts of the plant like floral diagram and floral formula. Like this they are completing the total description of a flowering plant in a simplified manner. So in taxonomy, what is meant by taxonomy? Taxonomy is a branch of biology which deals with the classification of living organisms. So in plant taxonomy, while describing a flowering plant, especially with the connection of morphological features, scientists, it means taxonomists, obviously certainly they should use they should follow this technical description only. And let us have a look of this semi-technical description of a flowering plant. Floral formula represented by some symbols, right? So let us see what are those different symbols are given by taxonomists for the different floral characters. You are seeing a chart on the screen. There are 15 floral characters and their respective symbols are there. These are very important for taxonomy part. As usual for theory examinations and competitive examinations also. Let us discuss one by one in detail. So first characteristic, bractate. As we discussed in previous class, if the flower is having bract, that nature is called as bractate. As we also discussed, bract is a modified leaf, right? So that phenomenon can be indicated with the capital B small r. Hope you are seeing the screen. Next, calyx, second one. Calyx is the outermost layer of the flower. It could be indicated with capital K, not with capital C. Many members get confusion here only. Why? Because see the third one, corolla, indicated with capital C. Since these two floral characters are starting with the letter C, scientists showed some variation for the symbols. Understood? So corolla can be indicated with the capital C. Next, third main reproductive part of the flower, it is nothing but androecium. Androecium is indicated with capital A. Next, fifth one, fourth or inner reproductive part of the flower, it is nothing but gynoecium, indicated with capital G. So next, I would like to give you one small recap here. Second one, third one, calyx and corolla are accessory parts of the flower. Fourth one, fifth one, androecium and gynoecium are the reproductive parts of the flower. Understood? Just I recapped these from previous class. Now coming to sixth one, superior ovary. Superior ovary, capital G, the bar should be indicated below the G. So why? Because gynoecium is presented at the above position, top position. Rest of the floral parts are presented below the ovary, below the gynoecium. So the red color bar is indicated below the G. This symbol is meant for superior ovary. So this superior ovary is nothing but called as hypogynous nature. It is also called as the phenomenon hypogynoecium. Hypogynoecium. Examples: mustard, china rose, brinjal. In previous class we had a discussion about these examples of superior ovary. Just I wanted to recap you, that's why I recapped. Next, inferior ovary. It means seventh one. Capital G, the bar should be above the G because in the inferior ovary, the gynoecium is presented below of the rest of the floral parts. So rest of the floral parts like calyx, corolla and androecium, stamens, that are present above the ovary. Above the ovary. So this is indicating which phenomenon? It is nothing but inferior ovary. For inferior ovary, we had a discussion in previous class. Inferior ovary can be noticed in some flowers. Those flowers are as follows, like guava and cucumber and florets of sunflower. So these are examples for inferior ovary. The phenomenon is called as epigynoecium, or also called as epigynous ovary. So here this is very important characteristic. Now coming to eighth one, male flower. Male flower is indicated O on the top of the O right side arrow mark. Next, female flower. Ninth one, O, below the O, plus symbol. This is for female flower. Next, 10th one, bisexual plants. Wo at the top, arrow symbol, at the bottom, plus symbol. Next, 11th one, actomorphic nature of a flower. Actomorphic nature of flower is indicated with the hospital symbols, clinic symbols like plus should be present in the circle. Hope you are seeing on the screen. Next, 12th one, zygomorphic nature of flower. Zygomorphic nature of the flower can be indicated with the percentage symbol. Next, 13th one, fusion. If any fusion nature is present, that fusion nature can be indicated with the bracket. Here you are seeing on the screen. Next, fusion is indicated by enclosing the figure with bracket. Then next one, 14th one, adhesion. Adhesion by a line drawn above the symbols of the floral parts. And next, 15th one, last one, mother axis. The position of the mother axis with respect to the flower is represented by a dot on the top of the floral diagram. On the top of the floral diagram. So all these 15 symbols are very important to understand description of any flowering plant. Understood? Next, one more important point I would like to bring to your notice. A flower diagram provides information about the number of parts of a flower, their arrangement and relation they have with another part also should be indicated in a easiest manner. Next, one more, for example, one more point I would like to bring to your notice. Calyx indicated with the capital K. If sepals are 5, it can be indicated as capital K, just below the capital K, 5. So it means calyx is having how many sepals? 5 sepals in number, like that. Corolla, capital C. If 5 petals are there in corolla, then capital C, just below the capital C, small 5. It means their number is representing here with the capital C, 5. Understood? Then, coming to one more important point, calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium are drawn in successive orals only. So first, we should give priority in a sequence wise, calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Then calyx is being outermost as we discussed, gynoecium is being innermost in the floral formula as shown in the other diagrams which I am going to show in the next session, in the next video. Floral formula also shows cohesion and adhesion within the parts of the orals and between orals also. Remember this point, this is important for theory. And what kind of relationship you are seeing? Floral formula also shows cohesion and adhesion within the parts of the orals and between orals. So total how many orals are present? As we discussed in previous class, 4 orals are present, right? Then the floral diagram and floral formula can be represented in the easiest manner. Understood? So the about families and floral diagrams and floral formulas I am going to explain in the next video. Hope you understood these floral characters and their symbols under semi-technical description of a typical flowering plant. Thank you, students.